Global warming and climate change are destroying our planet on a daily basis. Glaciers are melting, ocean levels are rising, and the planet is burning. We have the ability to stop these disasters. The previously mentioned disasters are destroying the planet, and all of them are caused and heightened by one major problem that I'm going to be discussing. The problem which I would like to solve in the United States is the heavy reliance on fossil fuels and non-renewable resources. This is a big problem because the reliance, again, is on fossil fuels for our main energy source, and since fossil fuels are not renewable resources, that means they can run out. The supply of fossil fuels will eventually expire, and once that happens, there's no going back. The other problem that arises from using fossil fuels for energy, specifically burning fossil fuels for energy, is that the emissions that come out of the power and energy plants that produce our energy greatly and negatively affect the atmosphere, the environment, and the health of humans and animals. The emissions produced by power plants pollute our atmosphere because these emissions are mainly composed of carbon dioxide or CO2. The release of these CO2 emissions also lead to climate change and global warming, which ultimately affects the environment as well as the health of humans and animals as the CO2 mixes into the air that we and all animals breathe. The solution to this problem that I wish to propose is that the United States should switch their main source of energy from fossil fuels to geothermal power. I am proposing this solution because geothermal power is a renewable resource, it is better for the atmosphere, environment, and health, and simply because it works. Geothermal power is a better source of energy than fossil fuels because it is renewable. It comes directly from the Earth's natural heat, which will not run out, as fossil fuels and non-renewable resources will eventually do. According to Paul Brophy, the utilization of geothermal energy can result in a great reduction in the production of greenhouse gases. Geothermal energy does not produce greenhouse gases, such as carbon dioxide, into the atmosphere like fossil fuels do. This is due to the process for extracting geothermal energy from the earth as during the process. CO2 is captured from the steam that geothermal power plants produce, turned into a liquid, then is pumped thousands of feet below the surface of the earth, which solidifies to the point where it cannot travel into the atmosphere. Other than carbon dioxide, using geothermal energy also reduces the amounts of nitrogen and sulfur gases that are released into the atmosphere. According to the Geothermal Energy Association, the use of geothermal energy can also reduce health effects in humans because the previously mentioned gases are not being emitted into the atmosphere and we are not breathing them in. Geothermal power is also better for the environment, and there is proof of it working. More than half of the European island, Iceland's energy, 68% to be exact, comes from geothermal power as well as from other renewable resources. The country has only seen about 2.2% increase in carbon emissions due to the increase in tourism in recent years. According to Jessica Aldred, geothermal energy is used to heat almost 90% of Iceland's homes and keeps pavements, driveways, and parking spaces snow-free in the winter. Iceland is quickly becoming self-sufficient in terms of energy and renewable resources, a process that started all the way back in the 1970s, and if they continue at the pace they're going, their energy will come 100% from renewable resources. Even though Iceland's use of geothermal power has caused great positive effects on the environment and the atmosphere, it has also proved helpful to the country's economy. Jessica Aldred explained that the geothermal energy used for space heating alone saves Iceland $100 million in imported fossil fuels each year and also emits less CO2 into the atmosphere. Switching a country's energy source surely seems like it would be incredibly expensive, but in reality, switching to geothermal energy would not be as expensive as one may think. Geothermal energy is all around us, or below us technically, and there's already geothermal plants all over. According to Malfridor Omarsdóttir, geothermal energy can be used by already developed and currently developing countries because the technology to harness it already exists and is simple to utilize, and it is extremely cost effective and has a fantastic reputation for sustainable production. The switch to geothermal power will also cause an increase in tax revenues. Overall, switching to geothermal energy would be incredibly simple since it is so readily available, and it can be incredibly beneficial to the economy as well as to the health of the environment, humans, and the atmosphere. To reiterate, switching to geothermal energy will have a variety of positive outcomes on various aspects of our lives. First, it will improve the health of humans, the environment, and the atmosphere by reducing the amount of gases into the air that we and other living things breathe. The switch will also benefit the country's economy since geothermal energy is incredibly cost effective. It causes increased tax revenues and it is readily available all over. Overall, making the switch from fossil fuels to geothermal energy will have a more positive effect on the planet than it would have negative effects. Now to summarize, the United States relies too heavily on the use of fossil fuels and non-renewable resources as an energy source. This problem can have a variety of negative effects on the economy, on people's health, and on the atmosphere around us. The emissions produced by power plants pollute our atmosphere because these emissions are mainly composed of CO2. The release of these CO2 emissions also lead to climate change and global warming, which ultimately affects the environment as well as the health of humans and animals as the CO2 mixes into the air that we and all animals breathe. The solution that I'm proposing to fix the problem of the U.S.'s heavy reliance on fossil fuels is to switch to geothermal energy, a renewable resource, as an energy source. Geothermal power is a better source of energy than fossil fuels because it is renewable, comes directly from the Earth's natural heat, which will not run out as fossil fuels and non-renewable resources will eventually do. Switching to geothermal power will help to improve the health of humans, the environment, and the atmosphere by reducing the amounts of gases into the air that we and other living things breathe. The switch will also benefit the country's economy since geothermal energy is incredibly cost effective, it increases tax revenues, and is readily available all over.